Tonight's edition of our Nation Sports Show is dedicated to the Dallas Cowboys. Thank you, Jerry Jones, for giving us even more content to continue to bash this overrated franchise, a team that has not done nothing since the 95-96 season. Oh, by the way, that was the last time the Cowboys won the NFC Championship game and won the Super Bowl. Since then, they have done nothing. Absolutely nothing. After one of the worst playoff performances 2 weeks ago in the wild card round against the Green Bay Packers. You mean to tell me, Jerry Jones, all the great coaches that are out there on the market that could do a way better job than Mike McCarthy as the head coach of the Cowboys, you're going to bring back Mike McCarthy as the head coach for the Cowboys next season? You never learn, Dallas. You continue to make a mockery of yourselves, and it's always downright hilarious. As long as Mike McCarthy is coaching this franchise,
you will never win.
And now, on to tonight's edition of our Nation Sports Show. Our Nation Sports Show. Tonight, on a Nation Sports Show, we break down the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. This was one of the best divisional rounds in a very long time, as 3 out of the 4 games went down to the final minutes of the fourth quarter. The drama, the intensity was ramped up to 11. Tonight, we also bring to you our predictions of Championship Sunday, as both championship games in the NFC and the AFC are now set. In the NFC Championship game, the number 1 overall seed, the San Francisco 49ers, will take on the Detroit Lions. On the AFC side, once again, for the 6th time in a row, Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City will be in the championship game. This time, they take on Lamar Jackson and the number 1 seed, the Baltimore Ravens. The Final Four is now set. Who will advance to Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas? Are you ready? Showtime.
Turn me up. Turn me up. Turn me up. Turn me up. Get up to the court, talking all that is sport, breaking down the latest news, scores, and more. Welcome to our Nation Sports Show.
Sir.
Bruh, come on now.
I don't know what got me more, the laugh or the "you will never win" line. Oh my God, Steve, what have you done?
I don't know, sir.
Oh my Lord. What a start to the show, folks. We haven't even done the freaking plugs and all that yet. Welcome to the show, everybody. We're live. The hilarity starts off, which means it should be a crappy show. No, it should be a great show. But I am Ezra Vickery. Thank you for joining us. It is a Tuesday. You wanted the best of sports talk? Well, you've got the best. Let's do it. And it's going to be a great, great show, everybody. We got a lot to talk about, of course, like you mentioned, the divisional round is complete. Now the conference championships are this weekend, and we will get to that, along with all your other sports news in a few minutes. But of course, the ways you can interact with us and follow us, of course, at Owen_Sports Show on Twitter, Facebook.com/Our Sports Show, and Instagram.com/Our Sports Show. Of course, follow the YouTube here, like we always are, Our Nation Sports Show. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Please do. It helps us out with our numbers and it brings more content to you guys. Don't forget to follow, of course, the Nation's Corner at The Nation's Corner on YouTube, Nation's Corner on the Twitter/X, and of course, The Nation's Corner on Facebook. Follow us there as we bring to you guys the world of pro wrestling, and of course that is on 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time every Saturday, and that is with Elder, Tony Justice, John in South Jersey, Front Row, Mongrovian Mike, Debhouse, and everybody on a show. This week, I will be on the Nation's Corner this week, helping out a little bit while John in South Jersey is out enjoying some racing. So I will be out doing some Royal Rumble stuff with the crew. And of course, I'll be watching the Royal Rumble along with the crew. So it's going to be a fun night of action on Saturday with the Royal Rumble. GCW's got a show in the afternoon, so definitely check that out. And of course, follow at 2 Sweet Cosplay across all socials. We're getting geared and ready for the opening con weekend. And of course, that being C2E2, the end of April coming up. And of course, they just announced the first wrestlers who are going to be there. And those are Samoa Joe, the Icon Sting, and believe it or not, MJF. So there you go. All that coming up. Follow at 2 Sweet Cosplay for more information when our appearances become official. All right, now that we're done plugging and not getting paid for any of this, let's move on to the people who are involved in the show. Unfortunately, Kevin could not be on this week again. We wish him all the best. But we've got with us tonight the big man here, sitting in his $40 Office Max chair, the great Joey JT Thornton. What's going on, buddy?
Okay, first off, this isn't an Office Max chair. This is a lounge chair for the outside. But anyways, what an amazing pre-intro by the one and only Dave Grohl lookalike Stephen Wine, ladies and gentlemen. But what is going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having an amazing Tuesday night. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got NFL playoffs to talk about. We got some weird but very interesting coaching decisions to talk about, including one from the one-star Uber driver rated Cal Turds, which we're going to get to in just a second. But we also got some NBA news to talk about, so why the hell am I still rambling? Let's go.
I ask that question usually about 15 minutes into the show, but I digress.
Screw you.
All right. And then finally, of course, is the patriarch of the show. As I always say, my heavy metal brother from North Carolina. He is always on time. He is always here early. Unlike Axl Rose in 1991, he is always ready like Matt Cardona. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Big Stephen Wyatt. What's up, brother?
Yes, I am also always ready to trash them Cowboys. 2 weeks in a row. It's always fun paying tribute to our favorite clown team in the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys. How about them fraud boys? Anyways, I could be here all day, all night talking about the Cowboys, but we
That's
got
not what your girl said.
Oh man, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Recapping divisional round for this past weekend in the NFL and previewing Championship Sunday happening this week. As yes, the Final Four is now set for Championship Sunday. Who will advance to Super Bowl 58 in Vegas? We'll have to find out this weekend. But without further ado, let's go.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. First off, we just want to say, what a great show last week it was. We always thank you guys for the reviews and all that stuff, so keep them coming. We love to hear from you guys as much and as humanly possible as we can. There's been a lot going on this week in the world of sports. A lot going on this week in the world of everything related to sports. real quick, I want to mention 2 big news notes. I know they're going to mention it on the Nation's Corner show this Saturday, but I can't resist. Of course, the big news today that WWE has signed a 10-year, $5 billion deal with Netflix to air Monday Night Raw starting January 2025. That is $500 million a year. And also in that same realm, it was announced today by TKO Holdings, which is of course the parent company and financial company of Monday Night of WWE and the Ultimate Fighting Championships UFC, is that they have hired, of course, one of the greatest of all time, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, as a member of its board of directors, which is huge news. And also in partnership with that, The Rock will have full ownership of his name, which a lot of people didn't know that he did not have full ownership. He only had a partial ownership along with the WWE. So big news coming out of that. And of course, that will be discussed on the Nation's Corner more in detail. But if you real quick, I mean, I know Stevie, you got a thought or two on that. Go ahead and share that real quick.
I mean, it's legendary. I mean, this right here, this is the future of what broadcasting is going to be. Is streaming. I mean, and this started, a decade ago with the WWE Network, with the pay-per-views and stuff, and now the Premier Live events, on Peacock, and doing what they're doing with those, and now with Netflix coming into the fold next year for Raw, it's going to be really interesting, to see how they go about it, as far as like the production, with all that type of stuff, and what they can and can't do, and obviously, the commercials and stuff like that, how that's going to work, in between matches and stuff like that. It's going to be different because with it being on a streaming service, it's not going to be on regular television. And there are people, asking questions about that, is it going to be, on television? The answer is no. It specifically says it's going to be available on Netflix everywhere, basically the US, the UK, Canada, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, it was shocking, when this news came down early this morning, and the landscape of broadcasting is changing rapidly, quickly, everywhere. I mean, because everybody streams, these days, whether it be sports, whether it be wrestling, movies, the whole 9 yards, concerts, stuff like that. And it's going to be really interesting to see how this goes starting next year in 25.
I agree 100%, man. It's gonna be a real something we're gonna have to keep an eye on, because Lord knows what the future is. And there's a big rumor going around, and we usually don't subscribe to rumors anywhere on our shows, but it was announced today by Nick Khan that SmackDown will be moving to Tuesdays starting in October. So that's going to be interesting to see how that works.
Wow, going back to the SmackDown Live days.
Yep, that's what it appears to be.
And also the days when they used to pre-tape their shows too.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I went to one of those back in the day. So all that big news, of course, that'll be more in detail at the Nation's Corner show. Catch that 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on youtube.com/Nation's Corner. All right, let's get into what we're here to talk about. And that is, of course, the wonderful world of sports. And we do got a lot of news to get into. And let's start off with the NBA. In the NBA, you mentioned in the intro about questionable coaching decisions earlier today. And boy, there was one that came down today that had my head scratching. And that is, of course, the news that broke that the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks has been relieved of his duties. He has only been on the job for 6 months. 6 months. And he's already out of a job. And this is not, I don't think we're even halfway through the season, right?
No, we are not.
No, yep, Joe, yep, right here. Adrian Griffin, he was officially terminated, and the Bucks are expected to make the assistant Joe Prunty as the interim coach. And of course, the rumor is also too that their head coach pool, they're looking into getting former Clippers and everywhere else head coach Doc Rivers,
which I think is a big waste of time. Because my thing is, yes, the Bucks have not had the best defense this year that they did the past couple years. I can understand that. But at the same time, you still have one of the best records in the NBA. 30-13, 43 games into the season, just barely past the halfway point if you're looking at the number of games.
Yeah.
But yet, you're going to axe this dude or kick him to the curb like he's an empty can of soda? No. No, that's not, or that shouldn't be how things work. I mean, 30-13, one of the top two records in the Eastern Conference, but yet you want to go after somebody like Doc Rivers? I mean, I'm not saying Doc Rivers is a bad coach, because he's not. But what I am saying is, at the same time, if they really wanted Doc Rivers, they should have gone after him before the season even started. Not wait until halfway through the season to axe your decent head coach that you got in favor of somebody who has a big coaching record. That's what I'm saying.
I agree. Steven?
I do not understand this at all. I mean, and before I continue, what's going on, Randy? How you doing there, pal? I don't understand this. Like, this essentially, guys, is the same thing that LeBron and company pulled in Cleveland in 2016 when they fired their head coach, David, his last name, can't think of his last name, but anyways, they fired him, and that's when LeBron hired Tyronn Lue, to be the head coach, and that's when Cleveland hired him and essentially LeBron, because LeBron got David out of there and said, "Get the hell out of here, pack your bags and go." And they get Lue there, and obviously they ended up winning the championship against the Warriors that year. But Milwaukee has one of the best. Go ahead.
Hey, Steve, I don't mean to cut you off, but the guy's name was David Blatt.
Thank you, David Blatt. Blatt had a good record with Cleveland during the 15-16 season. And the fact that they fired Blatt as head coach and get Lue, and basically if Cleveland would have not won the finals that year, that would have been all on LeBron. Oh, you got rid of your head coach and brought another guy in midway through this, or not even midway through the season. And now Milwaukee, 8 years later, is doing the same thing. I mean, Griffin has had a good record with Milwaukee to start out the season, and they're firing him because of their stretch in January. Losing 5 or 6 games here in January. It's a long season. You still have one of the best records in the NBA. And again, like you said, Joey, Doc Rivers is not a bad coach, but track record wise in the playoffs when it matters most, he hasn't been that good. I mean, case in being, last year in Philadelphia in his final year with the 76ers, the Sixers choked away a 3-2 series lead against the Boston Celtics in round 2 in the semifinals. So you mean to tell me that Doc Rivers is the leading candidate to go to Milwaukee? Yeah, he's got great talent. There's great talent there. Giannis Antetokounmpo and Chris Middleton and Damian Lillard, Brook Lopez, all those guys down there in Milwaukee. But it goes to show you that the head coach is just as important as the players, because it is up to the coach to relay a message that his team will follow through and come through with. You got to execute. And I don't agree with this. I think the Bucks are panicking for no reason.
I agree 100%. They're panicking way too early. They should just stick with the coach they got. Ride or die for the rest of the season and see how it works. But they're making poor decision-making in the front office, and it's not going to work out to their advantage. They may have you may never know. With the coaching change, they may have cost themselves a season. Who knows? We just have to see how it plays out going forward. That's one of the big things we're going to have to watch for. Of course, we got to talk about this. Some sad news that came out the day after our sports show came to an end on Wednesday, and that was, of course, the unfortunate passing of Dejan Milojevic, who is the assistant coach for the Golden State Warriors. He passed away at 46 years old after suffering a heart attack at the team dinner on Tuesday night. Wednesday morning, it was reported that he had passed away from the heart attack, and that game between that Golden State was supposed to play that night was postponed to a later date. So some unfortunate, sad news coming out of the world of the NBA and the Golden State Warriors camp last week after our show aired. So we here at Sports Show want to send our condolences and our continued prayers and support to the Golden State Warriors fan base, of course the staff, all the players, and of course Milojević's family. Definitely, we hope the best for you guys, and that's all we can say. In other news, there's been a lot this past week, so bear with us here. Let's see here. Also, real quick, the Portland Trailblazers signed Taze Moore of the G League's Rip City Remix on a 10-day contract. Trae Young the other day was put in concussion protocol, so that's not good for the Hawks and Trae. Kristaps Porzingis is dealing with right knee inflammation. Was out last night against the Dallas Mavericks. And of course, we got to talk about this, and that is the unbelievable record-breaking game by Joel Embiid last night. 70 points, 20-for-1 shooting. I believe wasn't it like 15 rebounds, 8 assists?
I think it was 18 rebounds and either 5 or 6 assists.
I think it was 18 rebounds, 5 assists. I think I just got the 5 and the 8 mixed up. But yeah, what a hell of a performance from Joel Embiid, who continues to prove that he truly is one of the best players in the entire NBA, man. Just an absolute monster. He exited the game with 1 minute and 22 seconds remaining. Incredible.
That's a stat line you don't see too often in the NBA these days. I mean, it's insane, like the numbers that he put up last night. I mean, just remarkable. I mean, just especially for a big man, putting up those kind of numbers. Now, if it was a shooting guard or a small forward, or even a point guard, yeah, we kind of seen that, over the years in the NBA. But with this being a big guy, that's almost Wilt Chamberlain status.
Yeah, see, and isn't it interesting that Joel Embiid and Karl Anthony Towns posted record-breaking scoring numbers for their teams last night on the same day that 18 years ago, Kobe Bryant scored 81 points in that win against the Toronto Raptors.
Man, that's crazy.
It is. It says yesterday was the first day with multiple 60-point games since April 9th, 1978. When David Thompson had 73 points and George Gervin had 63. There had never been multiple 65-point games on a single day in NBA history. In other news, G League forward Malcolm Hill has signed with the New Orleans Pelicans on a 10-day contract. And of course, the news that broke today, which was that the Charlotte Hornets traded Terry Rozier to the Miami Heat for a 2027 first-round pick and Kyle Lowry. Seems like Kyle Lowry is bouncing around now ever since he was traded from the Toronto Raptors.
Yep.
So you have that going on. Kevin Porter Jr., who's a former guard for the Rockets, has been dealing with that reckless assault case with his former girlfriend and WNBA player. It says that he has reached a plea agreement. It says on successful completion of the program, after a year, Porter Jr. will be allowed to withdraw the plea to assault. So, yeah. Right here. What else? Let's see. Here we go. Another big news that dropped today. Tristan Thompson is going to be suspended 25 games for violating the anti-drug program.
I was actually just about to bring that up to you.
He tested positive for ibutamoren and it's serum LGD 4033. It'll begin tomorrow in the Cleveland Cavaliers Milwaukee Bucks game and continue forward from there. Let's see. I'm going to look that up real quick. What that is. Let's see here.
Let's see. I think the article.
Here it is.
Yeah, here's it. The ibutamoren is a growth hormone, and the SARM-LGD 4033 is commonly used by bodybuilders and weightlifters for muscle enhancement.
Yep. That's not a good thing. He's using performance-enhancing drugs. So, yep. Sorry, dude, but you deserve to get suspended when you're pulling that type of shit. Oh, and the USA basketball named their 41-player pool for the Olympic men's team. And for the pool, this is featuring 28 players who represented the Olympics, who have represented USA in Olympics and or FIBA Men's World Cup, and who together have collected 23 Olympic or World Cup gold medals. The finalists, some of the names, I'm not going to name them all because there's a lot of names, but I'll name you some names. Obviously, Bam Adebayo, Paolo Banchero, Desmond Bain, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, Jaylen Brown, Jalen Brunson, Jimmy Butler, Alex Caruso, go Bulls. Steph Curry, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, LeBron, James Harden, Paul George, Tyrese Halliburton, who, by the way, will miss the next 3 games due to a hamstring injury. Drew Holiday, Brandon Ingram, Kyrie Irving, Kawhi Leonard, Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, Chris Paul, Bobby Portis. Of course, Chris Paul, we'll see how his hand is. Bobby Portis, Austin Reeves, Duncan Robinson, Trae Young. Just to name some of the names that are in that pool. So,
wow.
Obviously, the full list, you can go to NBA.com and look up the article yourself if you want, because I don't want to waste too much time getting into all the names. But that's what we got there. Outside of that, I really don't have anything else NBA wise. That's pretty much all I got. So let's move on to the topic at hand, which is, of course, the NFL. And what a week it's been in the world of the NFL.
Hang on, before we actually dive deep into the NFL, because we're going to be talking about the NFL for quite some time, I want to jump real quick to Major League Baseball, and I want to say a big congratulations to Texas Rangers third baseman Adrian Beltre, former Colorado Rockies first baseman Todd Helton, and former Minnesota Twins catcher Joe Mauer on being inducted, along with former Detroit Tigers manager Jim Leyland, into the 2024 Major League Baseball Hall of Fame.
That's right, they did. That's right. They were supposed to drop their class today at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 Central. I forgot about that. Yeah. So congratulations to those guys, especially Jim Leyland. Especially Jim Leyland. I know him for absolutely, of course, he was a vein of the existence of my Chicago White Sox, so I know that. I know that very, very well. Oh, and by the way, I'm looking at Adam Schefter's Twitter. You know there's not much going on, and the season's about to end when he's reporting NBA news on his Twitter feed.
Yes.
When he's retweeting tweets from Adrian Wojnarowski. You know things are slowing down.
And good point by Randy here in the chat. In his mind, the best news for this week was Antonio Pierce finally getting the job as the Raiders head coach.
We're about to get into that. Yep, congratulations to Antonio Pierce. The job well done and a job well earned after coming in for the hack known as Josh McDaniels, who Is sitting comfortably at home collecting his $18 million because of the inefficiency by the Raiders front office, who are fucking stupid. But still, the Raiders made the right decision and signed him, which was what he needed. But other news, getting into, of course, we're going to talk about the game itself, but the big news was that the injury to Deebo Samuel in the 49ers game this past week. Deebo injured his shoulder and against the Packers, and it's a 50-50 shot on whether he will go or not. So you guys know the last time that Deebo was out for a big game, 49ers did not play well, and that was the same situation. I thought when I heard Deebo Samuel got injured in the Packers game this past weekend, I thought for sure the Packers had this game in the bag, because we know what happened last time. When Deebo doesn't play, it seems like it greatly affects the overall organization and just overall play of the offense. And I'm thinking if Deebo doesn't play, it's going to be a hard-fought game when it comes to them and the Lions. So, and we're going to get more deep into that when we get into the games themselves. But Deebo is on a 50-50 shot on whether he'll play or not because of that shoulder injury. So, definitely wanted to do that. Say that. All Chiefs All-Pro guard Joe Tooney will undergo an MRI. Was supposed to go on MRI yesterday to find out what how severe the pectoral injury he suffered against Buffalo will be. But we don't know if he's going to be out for the game or if he's going to be out for the season. So, and see any other Larry Zimmer, unfortunately Larry Zimmer, the famous Broncos broadcaster, he unfortunately passed away at the age of, I believe it was, let's see here, I'm counting years here, so give me a second. At the age of, I'm thinking it's 89 years old. 88, 89 years old. So sad news coming out of the organization there. Let's see, other quick news notes here. Real quick, just scrolling through the Schefter Twitter feed. We're going to talk about it too. Let's talk about the Highmark Stadium shovel spree, as I like to call it, which was crazy. They hired fans and people to come in and shovel Highmark Stadium because of the inclement weather, which postponed the game the previous week, which was still going on around the United States. To the point where they were paying these people $21 an hour to shovel snow. I said to myself, if I could literally just work one day, fly out to Highmark Stadium, and get paid $21 an hour to shovel snow and check out the stadium, you bet your happy ass I'm there shoveling snow and making some damn coin, brother.
Oh yeah.
Joey's like, nope. Joey, if they offer you $21 an hour to go into, let's say, the Commander Stadium for whatever reason, it snows. Let's say it snows real bad. All of a sudden, you get a big giant snowstorm and it drops like 1.5 feet. And they ask you, hey Joe, would you like to go in there and show? So we'll pay you $21 an hour. Would you do it?
I'll say, hell yeah, well, bring me a snow shovel.
I see if you guys need me to bring a snowblower. I got one. 24-inch Craftsman, baby. You can cut through that shit like it's nothing.
Which honestly would be perfect for you since you live up in the tundra known as Chicago anyways.
Trust me, I just got through a 1/2 inch of ice all over my car. I know.
Oh, God.
Good God.
It was like literally driving on the ice. It's like driving on the ice inside of the United Center during a Blackhawks game.
Wow.
Oh, and by the way, did you know that Antonio Pierce is a former ESPN NFL analyst?
I think I remember seeing something about that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a former ESPN on NFL and ESPN analyst. Speaking of analysts, I believe there was. Well, wait, you forgot another. You forgot another MLB news.
What's that?
Somebody in the MLB is now, I think, an MLB on Fox correspondent. Isn't it? Isn't it? Wainwright?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything about that.
There was a big news story that broke. Let me look it up real quick while we talk. Let's you know what? Let's go ahead and get into the game since there isn't a lot of news. Let's talk about that Green Bay and San Francisco game and what a hard fought game it was. Green Bay up 21-14 heading into the third quarter or into the fourth quarter. They had not punted the ball a single time during those 3 quarters, which was insane. They had not given up the ball. And then unfortunately, 2 big critical interceptions. Both taken by Dre Greenlaw, including one with 52 seconds left in the fourth, which would seal the victory for the San Francisco 49ers, down 21-14, would come back to win the game. I believe it was 24-21.
Yep,
24-21.
24-21. I mean,
What hell of a game, man. And you know what? All credit to them persevering, especially, like I said, with the injury to Debo. They came back and fought hard. Brock Purdy deserves a lot of credit. He didn't have the best game on the planet, mind you, not the greatest game, but man, he came through. The offense came through it, especially that defense. Like I said, Dre Greenlaw, what a hell of a performance! 2 big critical interceptions.
very critical interceptions in that game. And like you said, Brock, he didn't have his best game in the game, but when it mattered most and they were down 21-17, Brock led the drive, and got it done. But the big thing that opened up that final drive was the simple fact that Green Bay missed the field goal. If their kicker kicks the field goal in, it's 24-17. And we may not.
But Steven, if they would have kicked that field goal, yeah. Steven, sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to real quick, and I was right. It was Adam Wainwright. Adam Wainwright has been named a full-time analyst for MLB on Fox.
Ooh,
Wow.
nice.
Just wanted to. I remember that story from earlier in the week, so I wanted to get that out there.
Yeah.
All right, Steven, continue your thoughts.
But looking at this game, and the performance of the Niners, I mean, their defense kept them in this game, and Christian McCaffrey had a pretty good game. And Brock Purdy at times had moments in this game where he was good, where especially with a couple of those passes to Kittle were sweet, especially that 32-yard touchdown in the first half, and Brandon Ayuk came up a couple of times, especially with that monstrous catch in the fourth quarter with the defender on his back, and just an unbelievable grab. And
Kittle showed cero miedo. Knowing Kittle is a fan of wrestling and a fan of Penta, so
yeah, and great performance in the fourth quarter by Brock, coming through when it mattered most, even though he wasn't at his best. But I got to give credit to Jordan Love, even though he didn't have a great performance either, but the kid has got the guts like a Brett Favre, to throw that ball, sling that thing, and go out there and just give it all he's got, and he did have 2 interceptions, and that was because of Greenlaw, and the one thing I'll say about this game when it comes to the fourth quarter is I don't understand why the Packers did not use any of their timeouts except for one. They still had 2 timeouts in their back pocket with at least 50-something seconds to go. So they still had time to maneuver the ball down the field with a couple of timeouts. I don't get the clock management.
there's another game like that we got to get into that involves.
Oh, yes.
We're going to get into that here in a few minutes.
I don't understand the clock game management by Matt LaFleur and I don't get it. I don't understand it. Just the Packers had their chances,
Yeah,
and LaFleur should have called a couple more. Should have called more plays where Love was throwing those slant routes over the middle instead of these deep passes, and not only that, but throwing across his body, which is very dangerous. And Greenlaw picked it off, easily. Because when you're throwing across your body, you're leaving yourself vulnerable to throwing a pick, which he did, and that's what happened. But hats off to San Francisco.
Well, also on that last play, too, the defense collapsed the pocket and caused Jordan Love to scramble. And when he did, that's when he threw that interception.
Mm-hmm.
So they were chasing him down when he threw that interception. So a lot, there was some bad clock management. We are going to get to that in a few minutes here with the other game. In the both happen to be in the NFC, believe it or not.
And the defense, they had to it was a little bit tougher on their end because we figured that their defense was going to show up more and make more plays and dominant. They still had their moments, but even their defense wasn't that great in the game. I mean, Green Bay had them on the ropes in this game.
Yeah, they did. Overall, the defense played great. Like I said, they only had 1 to 3. I think they only had maybe 1 or 2 3 and outs. The first one didn't come until the fourth quarter. That's how good Green Bay was playing. And like I said, the injury to Deebo Samuel was critical because of how they played without him. It's past history. If you look at the games they play, when Deebo Samuel is either hurt in the game or does not play, they struggle. They have a hard time on that offense.
Go ahead, Joey.
Joey, go ahead, man. What did you want to say, brother?
I don't want to say anything.
Oh, I thought you were going to.
Well, good. You can stay quiet then.
But one of the stats that got me in this game is, if I believe the numbers were Shanahan, no matter what team he had, whether it be Atlanta, or even obviously San Francisco, since he's been there since 19, 0-31 when trailing in the fourth quarter.
Not good.
Not good. Or 1-31. 1-31. And now he's.
Oh, go ahead, Steven. Finish up.
And now he's got 2 victories, obviously, in the fourth quarter when San Francisco is down, in the fourth quarter. That's not good.
And if you take a look at this team, this Green Bay Packers team, also they were the youngest team by comparison in the entire playoff picture.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a learning experience for all these guys, including Jordan Love, who played his first full season as a.
He did.
Played his first full season as the QB1. So this is a learning experience for him, learning experience for a lot of these young players. Because you got to think, last season, they lost their league quarterback, the franchise QB. They lost a couple of their offensive weapons, and Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb and all that stuff. They lost some big weapons to their arsenal. And this team is very young. It's a rebuilding stage for these guys. And obviously I'm sure they're gonna switch some stuff around, take some players, rotate them in and out in the offseason to get them prepared for when August comes back around again. But it's I give Green Bay, as much as I don't like the team for being a thorn in my side for so many years.
Well, quick, Ezra, just to correct myself, heading into the fourth quarter, Shanahan's ball clubs with San Francisco 0-30.
0-30.
Trailing in the fourth quarter.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like I was saying, it's just that this is a young team, and they're going to learn. They're going to learn from this. They're going to get better. Obviously, some things will be changed around depending on what they do in the offseason with free agency, trades, things like that, the draft. It's going to be interesting to see how Green Bay plays it out, depending on what they do, because they got their franchise quarterback. They got Jordan Love, who I believe is the future of Green Bay right now. He started off rough, but he's gained momentum and he's gained confidence. And that's the one thing. As a young kid, it's dangerous in multiple ways. It's dangerous in a good way because that means you're damn good, but it's also dangerous in a sense that you make mistakes. But then again, you learn from those mistakes. You move forward. And that's exactly what the Packers are going to do now that they're gone. They're going to move forward, and they're going to be an even more dangerous team next year. I have a feeling.
And what's also going to happen, too.
Who can't stand the Packers.
Love and those young receivers, are going to build up even more chemistry. So who knows? maybe they're going to be contending next year. That's the beauty of the NFL is sometimes these young teams can strike when it's hot, and you never know what could happen.
I agree.
That's true.
I agree. And let's go ahead and move on to the other NFC game. And that's another one that's been a little bit, like I said, the clock management was an issue at the end of the game in this one. And of course, that is the Detroit Lions beating the San Francisco 49ers 31-23. And what a
Tampa Bay Bucks.
Tampa Bay Bucks.
The Bucks.
Whatever they are. I don't care what they are. Baker Mayfield, man, what a game. Outside the 2 interceptions he threw, 349 yards, 3 TDs. Mike Evans, 8 catches for 147 yards. Cade Otton, 5 catches, 65 yards, and a touchdown himself. Same thing with Rashad White. But yeah, those 2 interceptions were... But Jared Goff, man, efficient as ever. 287 on 30 of 43, 2 touchdowns. And Jahmyr Gibbs, one touchdown, 9 carries for 74. And Amari St. Brown with a touchdown. Josh Reynolds with a touchdown.
Just an incredible game. This was a fun game. I mean, just both teams back and forth. And it was a track meet. If you love offense, this was the game for you. Even though Detroit was up double digits, Tampa Bay struck back quick. And, and it was a fun game. There was not a single dull moment in this game. Hats off to both teams, especially to Detroit. I mean, this is only their 3rd victory in the postseason in the Super Bowl era. Just an incredible feat of success for Detroit and this young team heading into the championship game for the first time since 91.
I'll tell you this much. There's some dominant keys to the whole team. And one of the dominant keys was the rushing yards. They had 114 to 89 compared to the Tampa Bay Bucks. That was one of the areas where they dominated in. And even though Tampa Bay had more total yards and more passing yards, it was that rushing offense that was what helped. What is the big plays that they made, obviously. And of course, the 2 interceptions thrown. Better 3rd down efficiency for Detroit as well at 42%. And he had bigger time of possession. So the overall team stats, and I gotta give that's a lot of credit to Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell has really pulled this team together and really built this team into something special. Whether they win or not coming up against San Francisco, and that game is going to be a hard-fought, tooth and nail to the very end game. And we're going to talk about that when we get to the predictions. Dan Campbell deserves so much credit. He took a dead franchise that had been, like I said, dead for how many years? Took that franchise along with the front office, turned it around, and made it into a contending team that could possibly make it to the Super Bowl. How many of us thought 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that the Detroit Lions are this close to getting to a Super Bowl championship or to a Super Bowl game? How many of us thought that? Not any of us. Yeah.
See, and quite honestly, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Ezra, but I actually had a phone conversation with Steven earlier today, and we were talking about this, and I asked him straight up if we would go back a couple years and we would tell people that this Detroit Lions team would make the NFC Championship game in a couple years, everybody would have laughed at us. Everybody.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. I had no faith in this Detroit team myself, being a Bears fan. I've seen they're usually at the bottom of the NFC North along with us. And you know what? They led the NFC North this year. They took the Vikings. They overcame them. They overcame the Bears. They overcame the Packers. They did what they were supposed to do. They came in there. They played hard. They got some young, great players. Jared Goff coming into the fold was an excellent move. He's a great quarterback. I mean, absolutely. He showed it this year. And, I'm really beyond excited for these Detroit Lions because of this game right here tested their mettle, and they proved that they are contenders to move on to the next round. But like I said, they're going to run into a buzzsaw called the San Francisco 49ers, and we're going to see how well they play against them. And of course, like I said, that depends on Debo's injury and a lot of some other factors we'll talk about here in a few minutes.
And Dan
Absolutely.
Campbell also, to add to this, has the guts to go for it first touchdown lead of the second half. He said, I'm going into that. He said, I'm going for it on 4th down. And the game was tied up at 10. I'm like, look at this guy. Got the balls, to go for it on 4th and 1 already early on in the second half. And they converted it for a touchdown. Just unbelievable that this guy, he believes in his guys to go out there and make a play. And he's not scared to go for it on 4th down. I mean, just unbelievable.
I mean, yeah, seriously, mad respect in the world has to go out to Coach Dan Campbell, because he has taken this laughingstock team and completely turned them into contenders. If only Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy could do the same thing.
Oh.
Well, I heard rumors that Andy Reid is retiring, so you might have to give him that Waffle House menu for Mike McCarthy there when he retires.
Man, forget the Waffle House. He'll go straight to a McDonald's.
No. He's gonna have a Whataburger menu.
There you go.
He's in Texas after all.
There you go.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, this team is, like I said, it's gonna be really interesting to see how it plays out. And I want to talk about this because also too, the clock management situation at the end of the game. I think if I remember right, Tampa Bay had all 3 of their timeouts.
They did.
Or at least 2 timeouts.
They did.
They had all 3 of their timeouts. And freaking, they need the ball. Does Detroit? You're telling me that they couldn't have called a timeout a couple of times to stop the clock, and they get the ball back and try to even tie the game? What gives?
Yeah, this is where I need to correct the both of you, because I saw what happened. Keep in mind that Detroit was on Tampa Bay's side of the field. They were already up by 8. So, seeing as how Baker Mayfield threw that interception, that automatically put Detroit in field goal range. So, if Tampa Bay would have called that timeout, then Detroit would be forced to kick a field goal, go up by 11 points, and then by then, Todd Bowles would be like,
oh, that's a good point.
Very good point.
There's only 12 seconds in the game left. We ain't going to come back from that. Because, I actually heard him say that Monday morning when they were going over the game.
Yeah, and you know what? To add to that too, Joey. To add to that too, I mean, when the interception happened, there was still time on the clock. And I think Bowles knew that, okay, time, in the 4th quarter, this is pretty much over. They're already in our side of the field, and just it's over, and he saw the clock and he was like, you know what? That's it. It's been a hell of a run.
Yeah.
And so I get it. I totally get it.
So yeah, there was one timeout left for Tampa Bay, and it was smart for Todd Bowles to not take it.
Yep. All right. Now that Joey totally just destroyed our credibility and ruined the rest of the show. Oh, I gotta fuck with him. All right, moving on to the next game, moving on to the AFC's games, and of course, the Ravens absolutely dominating the Texans 34-10. You know what? 2 words. Actually, 3. Lamar fucking Jackson. What a game that dude had. Literally 2 touchdowns, only 152 yards, but 100 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Unreal. Lamar, when he saw that pocket collapse, he said, fuck this. I'm going for the gusto. And that man, he took over that running game. Absolutely. So definitely got to give Lamar a lot of credit.
Yes, he did. And I also got 3 other words for you, Ezra. Second half surge.
Yep.
The Ravens outscored the Texans 24-0 in the second half.
And in that first half,
tied at 10.
In that first half, I mean, you could feel the nervousness in that building. I mean, just the Ravens fans are like, oh, great, here we go. we got a underdog Houston Texans team coming into our stadium, into our home, turf, and they took the fight to them. And Jackson and Harbaugh and company were like, you know what, boys, it's time to put the hammer down on these boys. And it's been a great run for them, but it's time for us to make our presence felt. And that defense, that offense, the offensive line, it was just a perfect game, shutout in the second half for the Ravens. And the Ravens proved in that second half that when they are locked in, they are one of the dangerous teams in the National Football League. And they have been basically unbeaten at home pretty much all season long. And it's a hard place to come in and play at M&T Bank Stadium. And Lamar Jackson just give him the MVP. Give it to him now, because the season that he has had this year has eclipsed his season from 2019 when he was the MVP during the regular season. And for the first time since 1970, the Baltimore City is going to be hosting an AFC Conference Championship game for the first time since they were the Baltimore Colts in 1970. And this is really cool because just great stories all the way around, when it comes to the conference championship games happening this weekend. First with the Lions, first of all, making it to the NFC Championship game for the first time since 91, 32 years ago. And you got, and then you got Baltimore for the first time hosting a championship game since 1970. And it's great for the league. It's great for the fans. And it should be a hell of a game hell of a games this weekend, I should say.
Yeah, and to add on for the Detroit Lions this was their first division title since 1991, their first playoff win since 1991, and their first year since 1957 when they won multiple playoff games in one postseason.
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And CJ Stroud, he did not have a great performance in this game. First half, he was pretty good. He just wasn't getting, the passes that he wanted because that defense figured him out, and they shut his throwing lanes down, and the running game couldn't get going, and the offensive line had troubles, protecting him. And there was a couple of times in that first half where the Texans, if they would have, there was a couple more protection schemes that went the right way for them, Stroud could have thrown a touchdown, in that second quarter. And they also had a chance at a field goal. But once again, and this will be a common thread throughout the rest of this show, the wind played a factor in that missed field goal.
Mm-hmm.
So hats off to Houston for one hell of a season this year to go from the doormat of the AFC South to a team that made the divisional round. And they had their coach and D'Amico Ryans here to stay for a long time. And you got your star quarterback in the draft, CJ Stroud, who should be the rookie of the year.
Yep, along with his weapon of choice, and that is of course Nico Collins.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if Tank Dell would have been there, he could have had two of his receivers there.
Tank Dell would have been there. Oh yeah, probably would have been a much better game.
Absolutely. And then we talk about the game right here. The game, another big contest, another close one, and that was the Chiefs and the Bills, 27-24.
All right.
Oh, here we go.
I've been saving up for this one because I got a bone to pick.
Go ahead.
If it has to do with Josh Kelsey standing outside the press box roaring like a lion.
Actually, no.
Let him enjoy his retirement. He's drunk off his ass. He's a good dude.
I don't have that bone to pick. But then again, that's a whole nother story for a whole different show. Anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah, here's the bone that I have to pick.
Oh, here we go.
All right, so we all know Buffalo lost that game. We all know that. And we all know that there were multiple instances in which Buffalo shot themselves in the foot. I'll give you a couple of case points, for example. The underthrows. Josh Allen was on target for most of the game. He was on target. But there were a few throws that he could have easily jetted through or zoomed in through to get touchdowns. Case in point, right there at the end of the game, on that third or on that second and goal play or second down play, when he underthrew his intended receiver, Khalil Shakir, who was streaking to the end zone. That was a definite underthrow. And the fact that Josh Allen was just unable to really capitalize on some of these mistakes that Kansas City made, it just wasn't enough. All right? The second thing, the other thing that made Buffalo lose this game was because of the play calling. Because, case in point, 4th and 5 from your own side of the field.
Oh my God, yes.
You call one of the most ridiculous fake punts in NFL playoff history, or heck, NFL history. I mean, that was even worse, I believe, than the play call from the New England Patriots Indianapolis Colts game from a couple years ago. I mean, that was just god awful. Why would you give the ball to a guy and send him to the left side of the field where 3 blockers were going to be there to help you, but at the same time, 3 blockers is not going to block 6 or 7 Kansas City Chiefs defensive players? It's not going to happen. So, bad play calling on that. Now, here's my bone that I have to pick. And that is with the fan base of the Buffalo Bills organization.
Oof.
Because, yes, Tyler Bass missed that kick. I'll give him that. But what they do not know is that Tyler Bass, number one, is one of the sharpest place kickers they have ever had in that Buffalo Bills organization. And number two, within the last 2 minutes of game clinching moments or clinching games in the fourth quarter and overtime, Bass was 9 for 9 from field goals. No matter what the distance was, he was a perfect 9 for 9 in the last 2 minutes in the fourth quarter or overtime in close games. So, you mean to tell me that one of the sharpest kickers in the Buffalo Bills organization ever, and who has never missed a kick when it came to game crunching moments, you mean to tell me that this fan base is going to give him death threats, telling him to get off social media because he missed one little kick? Hold on. That is not a loyal fan base, because I saw it, Steven saw it, hell, the whole world saw it.
Mm-hmm.
If that ball would have been kicked based on Bass's trajectory, that ball would have soared through the uprights. But, and this is what Steven brought up earlier, the wind played a factor because of the way that ball took a very sharp right and went wide left of the goalpost. That is the reason why they lost. So Bass did not miss that kick. It was the wind that carried that ball. But yet, you want to place the blame on Tyler Bass for trying to win you guys the game? Because I'm willing to bet you, given the same circumstances, except for no wind, that kick from Tyler Bass would have sailed through those uprights and we would have had a tied-up ball game going into overtime. But no. Just because one little gust of wind sent that ball to the far right, causing it to go wide left of the goalpost, you mean to tell me that is the reason you're giving Tyler Bass death threats, threatening his family, telling him to get off social media? No. Wake up, Buffalo Bills fans. I mean, keep in mind, I was pulling for y'all, and I had a lot of respect for y'all because I thought that Kansas City wasn't going to play that good of a game, seeing as how this was Patrick Mahomes' first road game. But after all this crap that you're giving about Tyler Bass missing a kick when it wasn't even his fault and it was the wind's fault, I have now lost all respect for y'all. Am I going to stop pulling for Buffalo? Probably not. But I have, as of right now, lost all respect for that Buffalo Bills fan base.
Great points by you, Joey, and I'll add to that as well because also what lost Buffalo this game was the defense. That's the main culprit, is the defense. Because you mean to tell me in the divisional round, you're going to make Valdez-Scantling look like a superstar? Travis Kelce, for the first time all season long, looked like the Travis Kelce of old? Scoring 2 touchdowns in this game? Did not even cover him? Hello, that is Mahomes' number 1 favorite target to throw to. Pacheco, running the ball like a friggin' maniac, did not stop him. And the only thing that stopped the Chiefs was that fumble that happened on the 1-yard line that went into the end zone for a touchback that gave the ball back to Buffalo. Otherwise, Mahomes played a clean game. And yes, Allen did play a clean game as far as no turnovers. But the Bills also got lucky in that game, the fact that there was no turnovers on their end, because there was a couple of times, especially during that first quarter and that fourth quarter, there could have been a couple of fumbles had in that game. Not only that, but to add to Joey's take on analysis on the fake punt from the 30-yard line, hell, I'll go on and say that was worse than when the Texans called the fake punt against the Chiefs at Arrowhead in the divisional round in 20 when it was on their own 30. Why? Because this was to go to the championship game. This was to go to the championship game, and this was at a critical juncture of the game. This was not during the first half. This was during the second half. That's the play you draw up. Now, if it would have been on, the Chiefs, 35 or the Chiefs 30 or even the 25 or 20 or even further into the red zone, I'm not going to harp on you about that. Yeah, that you're on their side of the field, that's fine. But to call a 4th and 5, a fake punt play with Damar Hamlin from your own 30, that is the most stupidest asinine play that has happened in postseason history in a long time. And I felt bad for Bass when he missed that kick. And not only that, but the announcer jinx comes through again because Jim Nantz said it before he kicked it. He said, McDermott said that Tyler Bass, when the game is on the line, that's the guy I want. 9 for 9. And tying situations or go-ahead situations, in the fourth quarter with kicks, wide right. And Joey, you are absolutely correct on the wind playing a factor because, again, people, this is a cold-weathered game that these guys were playing in. Yeah, it wasn't minus 28 degrees, 27 degrees in Kansas City a couple weeks ago in the walk-off run against the Dolphins the Chiefs were in, but it was cold. It felt like it was 11, 12 degrees out there, in snowy Buffalo. So, got to give credit to Buffalo for playing a pretty solid game and the Chiefs playing a great game. And yet again, Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce find a way to get it done when it mattered the most. And that is one guy I do not want to play on the road or anywhere in the playoffs because that is the one thing that Patrick Mahomes has over everybody right now in this current era of modern football is experience. And what's also is a crazy stat, Allen is 0-4 against Mahomes and Burrow in the playoffs. His other record against other teams is 5-1. Just unbelievable. I mean, the Bills had everything. And the fans were saying it. The players were saying it. Oh, we need the Chiefs in our building. We need the Chiefs, in Western New York. at Highmark Stadium, in the playoffs, in the elements in our building, where we can get it done. We think we can do it. Well, it might have been on the road for the first time for Mahomes, but he still owns y'all, like the Packers, sorry, Ezra, owns Chicago. And Mahomes, right now, it is safe to say, if they win another AFC championship game, it's crazy to say already, the numbers that Patrick is putting up with the Chiefs, he is already at Tom Brady levels right now. Win or lose. If they make, obviously if they win another Super Bowl, they'll be the first team since the Patriots did in 2003 and 2004 to repeat as champions. It's amazing what this young man has accomplished since he has become the starter for the Chiefs and taking over Alex Smith's job. And I got to say, he's learned a hell of a lot these last 6-7 years, and since he's been the starter for the Chiefs. And Rashid Rice has been the only player for this current crop of receivers that's actually played really well. But man, oh man, the fact that the Bills fans were up in arms going, oh, we get them in our building, it's over, we're winning. You still didn't get the job done because your defense did not even show up in the fourth quarter. It didn't even show up all game. What the hell am I talking about? And the offense, they underachieved when it mattered most, especially Stephon Diggs. He had a wide open catch at the Chiefs 25. Dropped. He came up small. He said, oh, I'll be there. I'll be there to make the big plays. He didn't do nothing. Didn't do nothing.
You and him have something in common. You both came up small. Giggity.
Just like the Cowboys did.
Oh, by the way, also, Steven, breaking news just came out. According to sources close to me, Stephen Wyatt has been suspended from the sports show for 30 days, and he will be replaced by a jar of almonds because the jar of almonds have better takes on the Chicago Bears than Stephen does.
Hey, better yet, we can reach out to Randy Gyron to see if we can get his cat Sprocket to star in Steven's place.
Sprocket? Unbelievable.
I have a joke for that, but I'm going to leave that alone. All right, Steven. Sorry about that.
You're good. No, you're good. And I feel bad for Buffalo fans because all they know is heartbreak. And after he missed that field goal, the fans are in the stands crying and upset and stuff. And I get it. They're upset that this was their best chance to tie the game. And even their clock management, I kind of questioned a bit. They were doing it the right way as far as, getting the ball down the field slowly but surely, a 6-minute drive. But Allen's got to play better. He only had 186 yards. That's not going to get it done. And you got to show up. And I'll go on and say it right now. If the Bills would have made it to the championship game and faced Baltimore, I'm sorry, Baltimore would have beat their asses because there's only one guy I think that can stand up against Baltimore in the AFC side, and that's the guy that's advancing to the championship game again, Patrick Mahomes, because he has seen the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense that slaughtered him and that Chiefs great offense in the Super Bowl 3 seasons ago in Super Bowl 55 down there in Tampa, when that defense in the Bucs just came up with a masterpiece of a game plan to beat the Chiefs. And and Mahomes has been humbled over the years by his failures with the Chiefs. And now I think he's got a chance to make history.
Steven, didn't I say we've noticed this from the very beginning that Buffalo has been on somewhat of a downcline because you forget in the very beginning of the season, they suffered a lot of injuries early.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of injuries to the defense and the offense, torn Achilles, torn ACLs, things like that. They've suffered a lot of injuries early, and I think now it's starting to show.
And not only that, Ezra, but it also showed up in the game as well because there was a lot of injuries happening in that game.
Yep. And I feel for Buffalo, the organization itself, not the fans because they're disrespectful assholes, but I feel for the organization. They tried their best. They dealt with the cards they were dealt, and it just didn't work out in their favor. Bad gameplay, bad managing. But just overall, the formula was not working this time. And you know what? Here's the stat I have for you, Steven. You want to listen to this? Listen
Go
to
ahead.
this. I have a stat for you, courtesy of Adam Schefter. Josh Allen cap hit by season. 2019, 4.8 million, lost the wild card round. 2020, 5.9 million, lost the conference championship. 2021, 10.2 mil, lost the divisional round. 2022, 16.4 million, lost the divisional round. 2023, 18.6 million, lost the divisional round. 2024, he is owed 47.1 million.
Unbelievable. And not only that, oh, what's going on, William? You showed up, unlike the Cowboys did again in the playoffs.
Speaking of the Cowboys, I do want to correct you on the Mike McCarthy thing too. This season, he is working without an extension, so he is working on an expired contract.
Yeah, they want to commit to him for another 2 years just so he can lead into 2 more 12-win seasons and then choke in the round of the playoffs. Way to go, Dallas.
Can't be as
Welcome
bad as
home.
the Patriots going 16-0 and choking in the Super Bowl.
That is true.
This is true.
But like Steven has said, Dallas Cowboy fans in the past, welcome to football hell. Because you hope you enjoy your stay because you're going to be in there for a long time.
And also as well, back to Buffalo. I mean, when it comes to the offseason, I mean, there's going to be a lot of personnel changes in the offseason because they cannot keep all of these guys on the same team for long and forever because time is money. And Stephon Diggs is going to feel like that he is worth a lot of money. And let's be honest, fellas, he has not shown up when it matters the most in the playoffs. And the only time he showed up big was in that world famous Minneapolis Miracle against the Saints when he schooled the Saints defense on the go-ahead touchdown in the fourth quarter with 10 seconds. And other than that, since he's been with the Bills, he hasn't done nothing, pretty much. And there was a lot of speculation. Oh, is he happy in Buffalo? There was, Allen and Diggs, supposedly fighting and all this type of stuff. He's like, no, I'm here for the team. I'm here for the team. And he didn't show up. And also as well, Gabe Davis not being in the game. That was huge. That's another piece to their offense that made them go, and not having him there. Their offense kind of became, one-dimensional in the pass game. The running game was pretty solid. James Cook, the younger brother, Daquan Cook, or Dalvin Cook, and how funny is it that Dalvin Cook is in the AFC Championship game with the Ravens after he left the Jets? I mean, that is crazy that Dalvin Cook goes from the Jets, a team that was supposed to be, thanks to the media, a team that was supposed to be the team representing the AFC in the championship game and possibly the Super Bowl. And now Dalvin Cook goes from that organization crapshoot of a team and goes to one of the best teams this year in the NFL in the Ravens. And now he gets to star alongside, Lamar Jackson and company. And it's really fascinating, when you look at all the maneuvers that Buffalo's going to have to do, because I don't think Von Miller's going to be there. And let's be honest, guys, I think that his tenure in Buffalo hasn't been a success. Injuries and not performing consistently. And they're going to take a hit this offseason. They're over the cap limit, and it's going to be a different team come next year.
I agree with that. I definitely agree 100%. And then, of course, also, too, in this sense, we are getting into the NFL discussion here. Outside of that, I mean, all I got to say is about the Chiefs. The Chiefs have got to play their best ball this week. The Baltimore Ravens are not going to let them slide with anything. Their defense is incredible. Their offense is lights out, especially with Lamar playing as good as he is right now. On both rushing and passing, they better be prepared, because if Kansas City even takes the foot off the gas for a second, Lamar's going to make him pay. Whether it's through his legs or it's his arm passing to people like Nelson Aguilar and them. They better be prepared. Because otherwise, Baltimore's going to blow them out of the fucking stadium.
Mm-hmm.
That's my biggest fear for Kansas City is that they have to play. They've not played consistent at all this season. They have to play very good, consistent ball now.
And their defense has been their only rock solid consistency this year. And this by far is the Chiefs' biggest test of this season already.
Yep. And we're going to get into that. So, hey, luckily, we're going to do a score prediction. And luckily, there's only 2 games. So, what a trek. This is going to be hard, man. This is going to be real hard. And, of course, both games take place this Sunday, the 28th. On your local stations. Check it out. And we got, of course, like we said, Chiefs and the Ravens. And, of course, that'll take place in Baltimore.
All right, so I will go ahead and get things started off with this one. Now, on paper, this is an even matchup. But you also got to look at some of the other things. For example, like you said, Steven, this is Baltimore's first time hosting an AFC Championship game, and this is also their first AFC Championship game since 2012, which is the year they lost to the 49ers in the Super Bowl. So the track record for Baltimore is not good here, whereas on the opposite end of the spectrum, the track record is, or actually cannot be brighter for the Kansas City Chiefs, because this is their 6th, yes, folks, their 6th straight appearance in the AFC Conference Championship game. No matter how they play in the regular season, they always find a way to step it up come playoff time. But there is a big X factor in this game. And in my opinion, that X factor is the Baltimore Ravens defense. Because, yes, they will have a lot of pressure on them because they're going to have a tall task trying to stop Patrick Mahomes. But if anybody can step up to Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and that Kansas City Chiefs offense, it's this Baltimore Ravens defense, because this Ravens defense has been monstrous all season long. So with that being said, it's going to be an absolute dogfight, I believe, in my opinion. But give me Baltimore in this game. I'm going to go 30-21.
Ooh, that's an interesting score.
What about Kevin?
Kevin has got the Chiefs.
What?
He's got the Chiefs 31-30.
Wow.
You must be listening to Taylor Swift lately. Or maybe as far as he's concerned, Baltimore's just another picture to burn. Yes, I did just quote that entire lyric. For me, it's a tough one. I'm going Baltimore. This is going to be a crazy score, and this is going to be not crazy, super crazy, but super crazy. Yeehaw, ECW. I gotta go with damn. I'm going with the Ravens. Obviously, I'm gonna go with the Ravens. It's going to be 31-24.
William is going with the Ravens as well in a close one, 24-17.
Okay. Both have a 7-point differential. Okay.
It's really interesting when you look at this game because, yet again, this is Mahomes' second road game. And for the first time, he's going to be on the road going into a hostile environment in Conference Championship Sunday. And I think Mahomes will show up and play a really solid game. I think that he's going to have a pretty good, solid game. But I think this Ravens defense is just too good. And with that being said, I have Baltimore winning as well. I think Baltimore is going to beat the Chiefs in a close one. I have the Ravens winning 30-24.
Okay. All right, moving on to the final game. And that is, of course, the NFC Championship game. The Detroit Lions against San Francisco 49ers. Both teams 12-5.
All right.
I'm going to start. Oh, go ahead.
All right. So, obviously, my heart has been set from the beginning to have San Francisco go all the way. But the more that I think about it now, especially given this day and time, the more I kind of want to see Detroit just pull off an absolute shocker and complete the story. Because, I mean, Detroit, they've never played in the Super Bowl, and now they are this close once again for the first time in over 30 years. They are one game away from making it to the Super Bowl. Man, this is going to be tough, but
It is.
it honestly would not hurt me either way if any team loses, because I am still going to pick the 49ers to win this game, but it will not sadden me if Detroit does wind up winning this game, because if anything, I'm secretly pulling for Detroit. I'm secretly pulling for them, especially with what they've been able to do this season. So I am going to go with San Francisco in this game by a final score of 24-23.
Ooh. Check this score out. Williams got the Lions.
Wow.
21-17.
You know what? I'm picking Detroit.
Oh boy.
My brain says San Francisco, but my heart says Detroit. The reason why, NFC North team, they're the closest team to me in this series right now. Also, I feel while San Francisco, like I said, has been playing lights out, they've been playing great football. That Deebo Samuel question has to be answered.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, in the past they have been a completely different team when he's not available. And right now, if I have to go, let's say if Deebo Samuel is in, I think the 49ers will win this game. If he's not in, Detroit's got a great shot of shocking everybody and taking the upset. But I'm going to go with Detroit in a very close game. 34-31 on a game-winning field goal.
Wow.
Oh, I love your thinking on that one, Ezra. Real quick before I get my score, Kevin has got the Niners winning 30-23, and I'm going the same spectrum that Ezra is going as far as his outcome of the game, because I think it's going to come down to who makes the game-winning field goal. And I do. It's so tough because, again, if Deebo is not in the game, Detroit's got a damn good chance to win this game, because that's one key piece to the Niners offense gone. Now, keep in mind, they still got McCaffrey and they still got George Kittle, but
obviously
Deebo is what makes it go.
But obviously with them in it, but even if you've seen past games, if you look at some of their past games where Deebo did not play, they were different. Their offense just did not seem to click and didn't have that normal continuity that they've always had. And I'm not saying that's going to be the piece that's going to make a fall, but it's like any team. If you lose one integral piece, it could be a little bit detrimental. Obviously, the next guy's got to step up, but sometimes that's not the case. We'll see what happens, but
and I agree with William here in the chat. Detroit is a Cinderella story. I mean,
they are.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
this is why we love sports, guys, because stuff like this don't really happen. But when it does, it grabs you. It captures you to stay in the moment and realize that you could be witnessing history. Because if the Lions somehow, some way pulled this upset off, this is going to make the Super Bowl even more intriguing. I mean, it is amazing how this organization took that Chiefs victory on opening night to saying, hey, not only can we hang with the division champions, but we can hang with the top best team in the NFC. And again, damn, like this game is so hard to pick because on one hand, like you guys are saying, my heart says Detroit because it's what they've done.
Oh my God, Steven, breaking news. NXT. Guess who just showed up?
Who?
William Regal.
Wow.
What?
Wow.
He's back from AEW already?
Well, he's been out of AEW since MJF took him out about a year and a half ago.
That is true.
But he's back on television. Wow.
I wanted to put that in. All right, go ahead. Back to the sports.
It's really interesting because, okay, if this would have been anybody else but Detroit, I'm outright picking San Francisco. Because like Joey said, all year long, San Francisco has been my team to make it out of the NFC. That being said, I am going to go with San Francisco to still win this game, but in my heart, I am hoping somehow Detroit somehow makes this all the way and goes to the Super Bowl. Man, that would be awesome. But with that being said, I'm going to go with San Francisco to beat Detroit on a game-winning field goal, 30-27.
Wow.
Man. It's really interesting how this championship Sunday is lining up. Like I told you earlier today, Joey, this is one of the most intriguing championship Sundays that we have seen in the National Football League in quite some time. Because usually every other championship Sunday matchup is usually two teams that match up during the regular season, sometimes on a regular basis. This is two matchups that you don't see happen very often.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. What was your score, Steven?
30-27 San Francisco.
All right. Well, I can't wait to see what happens, man. This weekend is going to be an incredible weekend, man. With everything going down with the football world, NFC and AFC championship games. Check out your local listings and find out where they are available in your area.
And also, real quick, I know you guys are going to talk about it Saturday, but baby, the Royal Rumble is here.
Sir. God, I'm so ready for the Rumble.
Yeah,
it's going to be so good.
Because like Matt Stryker said so many years ago, you never know who's going to show up.
Not only that, but what's more intriguing to me about this Rumble this event, is the fact that on both the men and women's sides, there hasn't been a lot of wrestlers announced for the Rumble matches, and that's great because it makes the intriguing of the surprise element even more intriguing.
Let me see. Let me pull up something real quick.
That's crazy.
And who all has been confirmed or who all has announced their entries.
That's crazy. William Regal in NXT.
Yeah. As of right now, the men's side has 8 entrants. Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, Gunther, Kofi Kingston, and Damian Priest.
Sounds about right. And I'm glad that they're not announcing a bunch of entrants right now. Because to me, that adds to the predictability. Obviously, like I said, we're going to discuss this on Saturday before the show. But it's going to be an awesome event, man. I'm excited. We also got the 4-way match with Roman Reigns, LA Knight, Randy Orton, and AJ Styles for the WWE Universal Championship. We got that going on. The Intercontinental or the U.S. title on the line with Kevin Owens versus Logan Paul. So it's going to be a badass show. Also, of course, I want to plug, once again, Effie's Big Gay Brunch at 11 a.m. Eastern. It's going to be awesome. If you're into GCW, you're into that type of wrestling, check that out. I believe there was some UFC news that dropped the other day. I'm going to check real quick.
Go ahead, Joey, with the women's side.
Oh yeah, women's. Go ahead, man. Hit it up.
Yeah, there's only four. Yeah, there's only four entrants. Only four entrants on the women's side, and they are Bailey, Nia Jax, Becky Lynch, and Bianca Belair.
Oh yeah, there was because there was. That's right. Yeah, there's only four entrants. That's gonna be interesting to see who all is in it. I'm excited. Will we see the return of people like Liv Morgan, who has been out for a little bit? Will we see legends like Michelle McCool, Molly Holly, Jacqueline? Will we see them in the Rumble? Will we see women who are signed to the main roster? Will we see Roxanne Perez again? Will we see?
Will we see the return of Miss Glow Up Naomi?
Yep, will we see that? Well, and on the men's side, it could be a bunch of names. Could be there's floating around. Everybody from freaking Matt Cardona to freaking I could name names, Brock Lesnar even. Who knows? It's gonna be anything could happen, and of course we'll find that out 8 p.m. Eastern with the Royal Rumble on Peacock on WWE. So.
And just as a quick
Absolutely.
reminder for those that haven't seen on Twitter, that the Nation's Corner will be live this Saturday at a special start time of 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 Central, 3 p.m. Pacific.
Absolutely, and I will be on that show this week doing the show with the crew, so taking the spot of our boy John in South Jersey while he's out enjoying some racing. So I'll be on that show as well. Steven,
Nice.
real quick, there is some UFC news. Quick MMA news, of course, this week was UFC 297 that happened on Saturday. Some good matchups.
Yep, and how about that absolute slugfest between Dragus Duplessis and Sean Strickland?
Yep, Duplessis now the new UFC middleweight champion.
Golly, what a slugfest between them two.
They two threw bombs, and then congratulations also in order to Raquel Pennington on finally becoming the UFC Women's Bantamweight Champion, beating Mayra Bueno Silva by unanimous decision. And then also Neil Magny defeated Mike Mallet by TKO in the third round, 4 minutes 45 seconds left. Chris Curtis, who also had a little bit of wrestling tinge because he came out, even though it was a cover version by the band It Lives It Breathes, who does Will Ospreay's theme, Elevated. He came out to a cover of Metalingus by Alter Bridge.
Nice.
Yep. So he defeated Marc-Andre Berthelot by decision, and Mosar Evelev defeated Arnold Allen by unanimous decision as well. So those were your main fights. And also, big news that came out, UFC featherweight and lightweight legend Frankie the Answer Edgar will be inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame at UFC 300. Frankie the Answer Edgar, one of my favorite MMA fighters, Toms River, New Jersey's own, an absolute beast. Guy can go 5 rounds and make it look effortless. Small, but he has great hands, great footwork, great groundwork. The guy he's faced some of the best fighters on the planet. And real quick, I want to give you guys a quick rundown of just some of the fighters that Frankie Edgar has faced over his UFC career. Like I said, not going to name everybody, but here's some of the names. When he finishes his MMA career with a record of 24-11, 13 wins by decision, 7 by knockout, 4 by submission. He's faced the likes of, and these are some big names. He's faced the likes of Jim Miller, Tyson Griffin, Spencer Fisher, Gray Maynard, Hermes Franca, Sean the Muscle Shark Shirk, BJ Penn, Benson Smooth Henderson, Jose Aldo, Charles Oliveira, Cub Swanson, Uriah Faber, Chad Mendez, Jeremy Little Heaven Stevens, Brian Ortega, Max Holloway, the Korean Zombie, Pedro Munoz, and Corey Sandhagen. A who's who of MMA fighters, past, present, future, he's faced. And you know what? I'm glad for him. Congratulations to the Answer Frankie Edgar on going into the UFC Hall of Fame, which he will at UFC 300. So
Nice.
I'm excited about that. Does anybody else have any news before we get out of here today?
I think I'm good.
I think I'm good.
All right, let's do it, guys. Final thoughts for the evening. Steven? Or no, not Steven. We always start off with Joey. Joey, your final thoughts for the evening, sir.
Once again, another great show with you guys. Once again, hated we couldn't have Kevin on the show tonight. Hopefully, he starts feeling better very, very, very soon, and we can have him back shortly.
Amen.
But yes, awesome talk on the NBA, awesome talk on the football, great predictions. Tell you what, man, this is going to be one action-packed weekend. Whether it's football, whether it's college basketball, whether it's NBA basketball, whether it's NFL football, it's going to be a wild weekend. So enjoy the sports where you are, and just want to point out one little thing. The champ is here, baby.
Double belts,
yes,
huh?
sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, really? Oh, you want to play that game, huh?
Oh, I know.
You want to play that game? I go triple crown on your ass. I got three belts, motherfucker. I'm Eddie Kingston up here.
Nice. But yeah, awesome job, guys. Looking forward to watching the sports this weekend. Peace out.
Steven, you know what to do, brother.
Yes, I do. I know how to finish it up, unlike the Cowboys. Oops.
Oh,
Oh, no, you didn't. Come on.
dude, you've been hitting more shots to the groin with the Cowboys than Draymond Green does in an entire season.
Damn.
Oh, perfect. Yes. Great show with you guys, and thanks to William and to Randy Gyron both being in the chat tonight. Thank you there, gentlemen. And thank you to Kevin for sending in his scores for Championship Sunday this upcoming weekend. And man, I'm so excited, for this weekend, with the Royal Rumble going on and with the championship games happening in the NFL on Sunday.
Crown, baby. Triple crown.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Great time with you guys as always, and looking forward to next week coming on here and recapping Championship Sunday and starting our long preview for Super Bowl 58. It's going to be really fascinating to see who will come out of Championship Sunday as the winners of the NFC and the AFC Championship games. And it'll be interesting to see what happens, and also to see who will win the Rumble this weekend for the men and women's. Will Roman keep his belts? We'll have to see. And also, as well, don't forget to follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter at Nation's Corner. Everywhere else on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, it is at the Nation's Corner. And once again, like I said, folks, don't forget to check out the show, the Nation's Corner, this Saturday at a special early start time of 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 Central, 3 p.m. Pacific time, as Ezra will be joining Deb and Elder in front row to talk about all things Royal Rumble, WWE, AEW, professional wrestling. It's all good. TNA, red hot after their pay-per-view last week and the first set of Impact tapings and all that stuff. And the news of Okada leaving Japan last week and going to be on TNA Impact this week. And who knows, maybe he shows up at the Rumble. Who knows? You never know. Strange things have always happened in the world of wrestling. And also forget to follow our Nation Sports Show here on Twitter at Owen_Sports Show, Facebook.com/Nation Sports Show, and where we are live on YouTube at YouTube.com/Our Nation Sports Show. And as Joey said last week, the TikTok page is under development as we speak. And with that being said, as I wrap this up, as you do know how to finish it up, unlike the Cowboys.
Aye. Thank you so much, Steven. Thank you so much, Joey. Thank you guys for watching as always. We appreciate you guys, whether you watch it live or whether you watch it on demand. We appreciate your support as always. Don't forget to follow our social medias, which will be listed at the bottom of this page. Don't forget to follow, of course, Two Sweet Cosplay, Nation's Corner, and all the different variations of sites we use. Don't forget to watch this weekend's games. Of course, like we said, the Royal Rumble, GCW with 2 shows on Triller on Fight. Check that out. And whatever else is going on during the weekend. If you're out in Tampa, enjoy yourselves. Have a great time. Be safe. and show off pictures and videos on there. And I will personally share it, of course. It's going to be a great, awesome weekend. But we got, of course, like I said, next week coming up will be our Super Bowl predictions, which I am excited for. It is going to be amazing. It's going to be an amazing time as we close out the football season with that. But until then, in between time, we'd like to thank you guys once again. For Kevin Rory, for Joey Thornton, for Randy Gyron, for Stephen Wyan, I am Ezra Vickery, and we will see you right here next week for another great edition of our nation's sports show. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we will have a great week, and we will see you next week. Same time, same YouTube channel. Have a great week. Peace.
Turn me up. Turn me up. Turn me up. Turn me up.